last time we were talking, Carl, we were saying about what would make a good hiring process for companies, with the agility and speed of their recruitment process, and those other little hints and tips. Um, I thought we should probably touch on the other side of that as well, of about you know what impact it has when it's not right.
Yeah,
How does it go wrong?
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely, and the cost of it going wrong.
yeah,
I was actually thinking about this the other night when my little boy decided to wake up at 2 in the morning and banged on his bed for a little bit, and for some reason my mind spiraled into recruiters will love this one. It will be probably the most common objection you'll get. You've
yeah,
cold called, you've got through, you're too expensive.
yeah,
Okay, could you just explain that for me? Expensive in comparison to what? Because you've just told me that without this warehouse manager in place, or without this engineering manager place, or production manager, whoever it is in place, your senior leadership team is now being pulled in to do the management level job, which means their job's not getting complete, which means you're missing SLAs on clients, which means stock's not going out the door, or you're not manufacturing as quickly as you need to for your client.
yeah,
All these little things that gradually build up to the point where you're now in the position where this is now business critical. Now, there is absolutely a cost associated with a recruitment agency. We're not a charity. But when you weigh up the impact that not having that person in the business is having on the entire operation, and the potential serious ramifications if it's not dealt with quickly,
yeah,
how much of a cost are we then?
absolutely.
And that's kind of the starting the starting point where my mind then went on to, okay, what about their process? What are they actually losing in their process if they're not using the recruitment agency and they've got a really poor process internally? What if they're still in the same position 6 months time?
Mm,
And that's where I started thinking, okay, well, maybe the answer for for them, if they're going to go down it themselves, fair enough.
yeah,
Like that. That's by the by. It's just another moan after another cold calling session.
yeah,
But they should be mapping out their entire process, because there will be dropouts at every stage.
absolutely.
Why is that happening?
Yeah,
Do they have the time or the care to think about, well, actually, if we look at every stage, pre, during, and post, right? What are we doing before we post a job online? Are we actually speaking to the hiring manager to get a real sense of what's essential, but what's trainable as well? You don't need everything ticked off.
yeah,
Don't aim for the bullseye. Don't aim for the entire dartboard,
yeah,
but make it realistic.
yeah,
Give yourself a chance. And yeah, I don't know what you think, but I think every stage needs to be mapped out in terms of what happens, who's doing it, and like I said, pre, during, and post. Next stage, next stage, next stage.
No, I agree with that, and I think also it's important to have um, like a scoring system within the interviews as well to make sure that
Yes.
that's fair and equal for everybody. Because sometimes especially if it's over a couple of days, it's easier
Yeah.
if you've got all your interviews in one day.
Yeah.
But it's still not easy. But obviously, if you've got them spread out over a week, to remember how good the first person you saw was when you're seeing the last person, you've got to have that standardization um, there for them. But I think you're absolutely right in what you say, and I think just as you said again, just clearly communicating that out to the candidates so that people understand what the process is and what sort of realistic timeframes they can be working to, because a lot of job seekers will have reverse engineered their their time,
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
how long have they got before their money runs out and they've got
Yeah.
to pay their mortgage,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
speed is of the essence.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I work my budgets off a spreadsheet.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
right, fair enough.
I'd absolutely know,
Yeah,
and I'd know when the desperation level would kick in. So yeah, that's a really interesting point, because you have to work
that's the
alongside that.
economist within you, though,
Yeah,
isn't
it is,
it?
mate.
Yeah,
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 yeah, it's going back some years, back to
yeah,
university days. But yeah, absolutely, it's just a OCD thing as well, probably,
yeah,
as
yeah.
my missus would
Fine.
probably say. But
It's obviously not doing any harm, is it?
no,
So
no, it's doing all right, mate. It is
yeah,
doing all right. But yeah, I think yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there is a real need to be available, present, and because they have a process mapped out where they know exactly what's happening. You can communicate that to the candidate, but also internally, everyone knows what's happening. So you're setting yourself up for success.
Absolutely. And I think also because that message is consistent all the way through, when you then come to do it again for whatever role, people will understand that there's going to be a process.
Yeah,
It's likely to be this,
yeah,
but then it all just starts to click into place, and becomes more of a standard operating procedure than, crikey, when are we going to see these people? Right, let's get them booked in for
yeah.
then.
Oh, I'm on annual leave next week. Oh, then
Yeah,
I'm in China. Then going to the factory. And then
yeah,
and then it's like, right, okay. You actually, maybe if we just sat down, right, we need this person.
yeah,
We know that's going to cost me 10 hours of my time,
yeah, absolutely.
which I can divide up into chunks ready to be
Mm,
available. Now that is dependent on the right people coming through the process, and we touched on that before in terms of the agility factor,
mhm.
but at least have a starting point.
Absolutely. And I think if you've got that and you've got a clearly defined process and your people are aware of it, that actually, quite naturally, your DEI will increase as well. Because there's a more consistent message coming out of the business.
Yeah.
Whether you may not even be looking for someone, but that doesn't mean people won't be calling and asking.
Yes.
And your staff are then saying to them, well, this is what we do, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. Again, it's proper, good exposure, that makes people of all backgrounds think I'm in with a shot at.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And again, that considered approach in terms of right, you know, this is how we lay it out. There's a lot of tools out there now from a DEI perspective in terms of removing threatening language.
Yeah.
Like there was a report in terms of the words that emotionally trigger women not to apply, and it was things
Hmm.
like competitive in like
Yeah.
competitive pay or fast paced environment, and it's
Yeah.
things like that people just never think about
Like.
ever. And really, it's probably happening subconsciously as well.
Hmm.
We all scroll through a job description and think, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
not for me."
Yeah.
Or where did that come from?
Yeah.
That's come from somewhere that's made me think that's not right for me. And that it
Absolutely.
is language. It's always language.
Mm.
Language has a really triggering effect. We bumped into the calligraphy person
Oh
when we
yes.
went to the
Yeah.
high performance coffee network with James, and she uses calligraphy
Yeah.
to deal with anxiety
Mm.
because your handwriting could change due to higher stress levels or anxious about a
Hmm.
project at work or anything like that, which I'd never thought of. And you'll be able to dictate on the changes in your handwriting what's where the kind of the problem's coming from, which was I found fascinating.
Yeah.
Probably didn't
Absolutely.
explain it that well, but I found it utterly fascinating. It was really interesting to see how the mind works in terms of that handwriting piece and the connection to what's going on emotionally and subconsciously.